When will you people stop sleeping on IMSA? Okay, do me a favor. If you have not seen this race yet and you don't know what happened, do whatever it takes. You don't have to watch all 12 hours, but watch the last 30 minutes of this race. I implore you. And then come back to me and watch the next IMSA race, because the 71st running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring is probably going to go down the record books as the greatest one, or at least the most memorable one. The last part of this race was, and really the whole race, was all sorts of compelling, but the end of the race, from a three-wide battle to a three-car pileup, the fact, I think John Heindaw said it on Radio Le Mans, it's the record book is going to show that the pole-sitting car won the race, but the stat sheet is not going to tell the story of this one. We're going to try to tell it in this video. Got interviews with a lot of the key players in the finish of today's race, and a lot of the winners in class. And of course, I'll be giving my thoughts as well. But the first thing that I think we need to do is we need to go through the results of the 71st running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. And we start off, like I said, with the pole-winning car, the Whelen Engineering Cadillac. Cadillac wins again at Sebring, and again, it's Pipo Derani. I mentioned in yesterday's video that Pipo Derani, this seems like his track, but it wasn't him that crossed the line. It was Jack Aitken who came across the line in first place in GTP. Second place, who could have bet on this? It was BMW RLL. How crazy is that to finish second in GTP when I think most of us kind of wrote them off after their performance at Daytona, but hey, better lucky than good sometimes. Third place overall is an LMP2 car, Tower Motorsports, an LMP2 car that crashed earlier in the race, driven by Scott McLaughlin across the finish line. Fourth place in LMP, or fourth place overall, and second place in LMP2 is the TDS Racing number 11. Mikkel Jensen was the one who was chasing down Scott McLaughlin, one of the great prototype drivers, chasing down an IndyCar star for third place overall and first in class. And then rounding out the podium in class for LMP2 was Era Motorsports, who started last, shotgun on the field in LMP2. Great for them. PR1 Matheson Motorsports, the venerable purple car, finished in sixth position. Ben Keating doing double duty between the WEC race and the IMSA race. Seventh place, another LMP2 car, the 04, the CrowdStrike by APR LMP2. And then we round out our lead lap LMP2s, or at least our LMP2s that finished the race in with the number 20 high-class racing car. Ed Jones finished the race in that one. GTP cars, all the cars that crashed, and we will be talking about this at length later on in this video. Penske Porsche Motorsports, number 6. The number 10 Konica Minolta Acura, the car that I thought was going to win this race, sure looked like it was going to win this race until calamity struck. And the number 7 Porsche. One of those Porsches had an ouchie from an LMP3 car. We'll be talking about that as well. Then we head on to 12th place overall, the number 74 LMP3. This car is a regular staple in victory lane. Once again, coming across the line in first in LMP3. Second place in LMP3 was AWA in their Duquin, and JDC Miller Motorsports. My other car is a Porsche, and we're also on the podium with our Duquin in LMP3. Then we're going to AWA, another Duquin, and then Ave Motorsports. There was something wrong with that car's engine. It sounded off from about the halfway mark on. Then we get into GTD Pro, and what a great story Pfaff Motorsports is. Their mechanics were staying late into the night, and trust me, I was editing a video very late last night, and when I was leaving the track, they were still putting together the Pfaff Motorsports Porsche. They still believe that they're behind on BOP. I'm not so sure about that after today's results, but they win in GTD Pro and GT overall. Fantastic results for them. I know they're going to be partying hard tonight in the Pfaff camp. Vassar Sullivan in second position in GTD and GT overall, and then rounding out the podium there is WeatherTech Racing the Mercedes. Then we've got the 63 Iron Lynx. I told you that car would be sneaky. Romain Grosjean actually on the driving duties for that car. A lot of people forget that. Corvette Racing in 5th place. They were involved in that big crash, as well as the 62 GT Pro car. Ferrari for Risi Competizione. Last time we'll probably see them until at least Watkins Glen, possibly Petit Le Mans. The GT Pro cars round out at least the ones that were in contention to win with the number of 95, which started at the back. And then we get to the number 60. Mired in controversy for Meyer Shank Racing was my line yesterday, and unfortunately the day did not go too well, not according to plan for Meyer Shank Racing. The 60 car lost a wheel towards the end of the race. They actually did go back out and make a couple of laps. I'm not really sure why. Probably just, you know, gutting it out, finishing the race. Then we get to our winner in GTD AM, the number 1 car for Paul Miller Racing. BMW sweeps the first 2 positions with the number 96 Turner Motorsport car in 2nd. And then we've got the Kelly Moss with Riley Porsche in 3rd place. Inception Racing, the McLaren comes home 4th. 5th in class is the Vassar Sullivan Lexus with Aaron Tielitz and Parker Thompson and Frankie Montecalvo. Then we go 30th position overall, 6th in class, Wright Motorsports Porsche. Kelly Moss with Riley, the 91 car, which was involved in the big one. They finished the race. Wright Motorsports, another Porsche. Magnus Racing, they had some issues towards the end of the race. The Mercedes, then we've got the Iron Dames. We've got Gradient Racing, which that poor car was the duct tape monster out there the whole race, but they did finish. Heart of Racing Team, the 23 Pro car, unfortunately for our friends over at Heart of Racing, they were well off the pace, and it happened early on. I'm not actually sure what happened to them. I missed what took them out of the race. 21 for AF Course, that car was just running around, another duct tape monster. Then we get Performance Tech, which, oh boy, what an embarrassing moment for them, running into the Penske Porsche under yellow on the main straightaway. Whoever was in that car at that time did not sell themselves on a Penske team ride anytime soon, because Roger Penske was sitting up on his perch and saw everything from the pit lane. Cheddalar Racing, the Ferrari in 40th. 41st was the Rick Ware Racing LMP2, which had a big crash when it lost a tire. Thankfully, that tire stayed within the racing surface. Heart of Racing, the Pro-Am car. AO Racing, the dinosaur car, which spent a lot of time in the pits, unfortunately. Sean Creese Motorsports spun right in front of the field on the start and nearly took all of the GT cars out in turn 1. Really set the tone for this race. Another LMP3 car, Elige, JR3 Racing. Then we've got the number 78 Lamborghini Huracan. Then we've got the Cadillac Racing 01 Ganassi car. That car looked like it was going to win today, but unfortunately a fire broke out. And when I was walking by after they had the fire, I saw the Williams engineers in there. And if you don't know, Williams produces the batteries on the hybrid system. So it would seem to me, based on circumstantial evidence, that it was likely the battery that caught fire in that particular Cadillac. Then we've got the LMP3 pole-sitting Andretti Autosport car in 48th place. 49th was Windward Racing. They had an accident and the suspension broke. That took them out of the race. Racer's Edge Acura had contact at some point, had a hood fly up in front of the field. They were out of the race. We lost one of the only hypercar, the only other hypercar that didn't finish the race, or GTP car, was the BMW. Went out fairly early and made it look like it was going to be a real bad day for BMW. Little did we know, it got a lot better from there. The 35 TDS racing car did not make it to the end, and last place overall is the Tarazi Racing Ferrari GTD car. So good Lord, I've almost gone 10 minutes already just talking about the results of this race, but to hear from some of the competitors, I asked a few questions in the post-race press conference. Is it the best quality stuff? No, unfortunately, you know, I'm a single-man crew this weekend. This is the best I could do, and especially because, you know, it's late, it's midnight when I'm recording this. You know, to ask the drivers for one-on-one interviews or to try to get them before they get to the podium, that was tough to do. So we got some press conference answers. I hope you enjoy them, and then we'll get back and I'll talk about the rest of this race.
We'll get to you. Go ahead.
Question for Nick. Last restart, was there any chance of catching the Cadillac? Did you think you had a shot at him?
I tried to go with him and almost lost it in the last corner actually. Jack seemed to struggle a little bit on the restart, the previous restart, so I thought, yeah, I might have a chance. He nailed the restart, to be honest, on the last one, and I made, I wouldn't say a mistake, but didn't get the tyres where we needed to, and it's been a little bit of thing we need to work on in switching on our tyres. The other teams so far have been able to do a better job at that. And once he made the gap like that, I would say if we had half an hour, then maybe I could have tried to reel it back in, but with 5 minutes left, I knew it was, unless he made a mistake, it was probably going to be over, unfortunately. But like Connor said, to be on the podium in our second race, it just shows, things to come, to be honest. We made a good step forward in terms of pace and are able to actually mix it a little bit. Race, it was really nice to get in and amongst it a few times today as well, whereas at Daytona we weren't really doing that. So a great job by everyone back at Munich, and of course the RLL team. They've been working some crazy long hours and crazy long weeks, and a lot of them haven't slept enough, I'm sure, for the last 6 months. So it's a credit to all those guys.
I was trying to do some quick counting at that moment. It wasn't. I mean, those moments, especially so late in the race, you're just pretty much in the moment. So I saw a crash. I was watching out for debris, for other cars, because there were cars pretty much everywhere, and just trying to survive. And it was after I got through and was waiting for the caution, I was like, that was a lot of cars, and quite a few GTP cars. So maybe we're all right here.
Scott, you've had some ups and downs at the beginning of the season. Water bottle kind of fried the electronics at the Rolex. You had the crash with Roman at St. Pete. The car crashed while you were in the shower today.
Yeah.
Did you think this was even possible to win this thing?
Oh, for sure, it's possible. As long as you stay on the lead lap and you've got a straight car. And yeah, there's bits and pieces hanging off it. After, unfortunately, Kip had that little moment, but he's been flawless for 2 races I've been with him. But unfortunately, just had that moment, but the team, really did the right strategy and kept us on the lead lap, fixed our bodywork. Thankfully, the car was straight, and we had a really fast race car, and I was able to sort of just use the right strategy calls from the team and manufacture a result there at the end. But it was pretty full on. It was pretty hard racing at the end, and definitely difficult. It was probably the darkest race I've ever been a part of. Never seen anything like it. So it was just building up confidence every lap out there at night, particularly racing with people. But yeah, really enjoyed it, and just really stoked for everyone, for John, Kiffin, and the team. It's just it's really cool.
You're not experienced in LMP2 cars. How did you hold off some of the best guys out there?
Oh man, I don't know, I was just driving the thing as fast as I could. I don't care if I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was just trying to drive it as fast and keep it as wide as I could. Some pretty big blocks going on, and trying to do what I could just to manage the cold tyres, and that was another thing, just learning that and keeping the temps and what was working well on warm up under the safety car to keep the temps up and the pressures up. But learned that on the run, but hopefully that sets us up better when I hopefully come back and have another crack.
Real quick for Kiffin, we didn't really have a good replay of it. What actually happened in that crash in turn 1?
Yeah, it was just an unfortunate going through turn 1 and got a little bit wide and just barely dropped the wheel on the exit, and just snapped the car sideways. So really unfortunate crash, but the team did a great job getting it back out there. So huge props to them, and I think that they did an amazing job, not even just in that, but all day with really great strategy calls, and the pit stops were flawless.
When you make a mistake like that, getting back in the car, what is that like for you?
It was a little bit tough the first couple of laps through turn 1. I was lacking a little bit more confidence than usual, but built up to it slowly, and just made sure not to make any more mistakes after that.
Real quick, congratulations guys. For the FAF guys, you guys had a crash in qualifying, set you back. Your crew worked almost well into the night to fix your car. How gratifying is it to taste victory today?
I mean, just amazing. I mean, like you say, the entire group of people in the team just prepared the car until 1 a.m. I think yesterday. So, and they rocked so much in a race with the strategy, with all the pit stop. We always restart in front. Sometimes we get bad luck with yellows, but we never give up. We always stay focused. We're not the quickest, clearly, but we have such a good group of people, and get 100% from everybody today, like in Daytona actually. And these two guys also did an amazing job. Klaus was first time here, so we know how difficult it is to drive on this track, and Lawrence made just amazing job to bring back the car in front. And yeah, I'm the, let's say, they call me the expert of fuel saving. I have a lot of challenge with Lawrence in the past on different cars, and I was pretty good at that. They choose me to finish the race because we know it can be a big advantage, and today it paid off. We clearly not the quickest, but we just gamble on these yellows and we won.
So I know exactly what you want me to talk about, and it's the crash. Who was at fault? We had the Penske Porsche sandwiching the number 10 Wayne Taylor Konica Minolta Acura Aero 6. And you know, the interesting thing that I found was the fact that the strategy worked itself out, because frankly the Wayne Taylor car I thought was on its way to an easy victory with about an hour left. And then we had a couple of cautions that kind of came at inopportune times for the prototypes to pit, and it kind of split them up. And at some point, one of the Porsches got ahead. In fact, both of the Porsches, I believe, got ahead, as well as the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac got ahead of the Wayne Taylor Racing Acura. There was a point where, you know, about 10 feet to my right, they were 3 abreast for second place. One of the most amazing things we've ever seen at the 12 Hours of Sebring in terms of an overall battle this late in the race. But then the crash happened. Heavy GT traffic caused you know, a bit of a Constantina effect, or Constantina effect. I don't know exactly how you say that. I'm going to say it both ways so that no one can get mad at me, right? That's how it works. But the Porsche got into the Wayne Taylor Acura. The first jink I was okay with. I think I agree with a lot of folks that the second jink that the Porsche made probably out of line. It got the Wayne Taylor car onto the dirt and gravel, really it's sand here, onto the sand, into the Porsche, and then the other Porsche went over the top of the other Penske Porsches. So we had, you know, the Penske Porsche mating ritual over there in turn 3. It wouldn't be the first mating ritual that's happened at Sebring, by the way. I'm sure the people who were here in the 70s will tell you that. But several GT cars involved in it. I think I mentioned the 91, 62 Risi Competizione, the 3 Corvette. I'm sure there were other ones that were affected by that. Somehow the 31 and 25 prototypes got through there. It was perhaps advantageous for them that they weren't quite on the pace. The BMW, as we know, isn't quite there from a straight up take the lead perspective. And the number 31 was on older tires. They had double stint tires, and we saw that today was a total detriment when you had double stint tires. The tire fall off was massive on that second stint. And Wayne Taylor looked like he was about to go stomp down and kick some ass. There were a lot of unhappy faces that I've seen, and I'll probably see more as I'm walking through the paddock when I'm leaving tonight. Really, really crazy and wild accident and a way to finish this thing. And who could have, and it kind of, we'll tie it back into the start of this video, which is to say, you know, who could have guessed that it would be unexpected that the pole-sitting car would win this race? But here we are. They weren't exactly dominant. I think they spun and knocked the bumper off of their car early on in the race. They took them out of contention for a while. It looked like it was going to be between the 0-1 and the 10, and then it became Penske versus Wayne Taylor, and then they all crashed, and it's Whelen Engineering that takes the second strike in the GTP era of IMSA. And it's important to note, because I didn't say this at Daytona, didn't think I would need to say it at Daytona, but the results are unofficial, and if something comes out, we'll be the first to talk about it. But unbelievable. 2 GTP cars, first and second, and then we have the third place rounded out by the LMP2 winner. What a crazy, crazy race. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my coverage of the 12 Hours of Sebring, Super Sebring, along with the World Endurance Championship. Coverage should resume, race day coverage anyway, should resume at Texas Motor Speedway for Indy cars. Got to work a couple of kinks out with that one, but I'm expecting to be there, so we'll be there. And we'll